Previously on the Tony Kornheiser Show.
I am cheering for the Caps. I don't cheer against the Hurricanes. I don't say anything mean about the Hurricanes. I am cheering for the Hurricanes. And for the Caps. And so first period it's fine. Second period it starts to get a little awkward, to put it nicely. And I'm cheering a little bit more loudly. And there was this older couple in front of us, Hurricane fans. This woman is 85 if she's a day. And she is getting highly annoyed that I am cheering for the Caps.
Really?
So she's turning around and giving me looks. So I cheer louder. Again, no swear words so far, nothing. And
So far being the
so far.
It's only the second period.
The Tony Kornheiser Show is on now.
It was off the air, I think, but Tori's husband, Brian, said that Tori pushed that woman at one point.
Yes,
that
he
there
did.
was a physical confrontation.
Yes.
We're live at Chatter at the corner of Wisconsin Avenue Northwest, Jennifer Street Northwest. We have Gene McManus, we have Gary Braun, we have Michael Kornheiser. Nigel will produce the show, run the board, do the news. The great Bill Isaacson is here to hear about my theater reviews, which are coming later in the show. We will have a watch party here tonight. This is Game 7 for the Capitals in their first round series against Carolina. We hope they advance. I will actually be here for the first period. And the reason you're going to say, well, why? And I go, well, there's this girl that I knew. She's not a girl now. She's my age. She's a woman, an old woman. I'm an old man. I knew her literally 60 years ago, went to camp with her, and she and her husband and her children and her grandchildren are in Washington, D.C. Her name is Amy Hartman. And I wanted to say hello. And she was kind enough to say, we'll eat at Chatter. So I said, sure, I'll come by.
Lovely.
And coincidentally, it will be Game 7, and I am happy to be here for Game 7. So I will be here for a while.
7:30 face-off, Tom.
Not 8, 7:30?
Correct.
All right, so I will be here for the first period. That's not a big deal to anybody except me because it's way past my bedtime when the first period is over. But we're inviting everybody to come in and watch the game here. It's going to be a nice night. It's warm. Come on out. Come to Chatter. I did this yesterday on the air on PTI. I said the Game 7 I care about is the Caps against Carolina tomorrow night, is what I said. And I said, a watch party at Chatter. And Will just looked at me like, did you do that? I said, well, I just did it. Nobody really understands what I'm talking about.
Good one last night.
But
We'll get to that in news, I'm
We'll
sure.
get to all of those things. So we have that. And also, we will not be here Friday. So our last day this week is Thursday. Let me talk about Chris Rommel in Seattle, who writes, I discovered your podcast a couple of years ago and instantly became a loyal little. Your rants and diatribes have become a part of my daily listening routine and a horrific realization to the woman to whom I'm related by marriage of what I will be like later in life. In recognition of the joy you have provided over the years, enclosed you will find a box of that offering for you and the good people of your show and patrons of Chatter. My wife and I run an online business called Taper Tuesdays. Not taper like to slim down, taper as in the animal, T-A-P-I-R. That designs and sells taper-themed products with a portion of the proceeds going directly to a conservation group in South America. When most people think of endangered animals, they think of elephants, tigers, gorillas, etc., but not the tapir. That's because nobody thinks of the tapir.
Right.
It's not that they don't think of it as being endangered.
I don't think of the tapir when I think of animals starting with T.
Yeah. However, there are 5 species of tapirs, and while 3 are endangered and 1 is vulnerable, all need support if they are to survive. World Tapir Day is coming up Saturday, April 27th, so that is this Saturday. We're trying to spread more awareness of this wonderful animal and wondering if the tapir could become the official endangered species of the Tony Kornheiser Show. Yes,
why not?
Yeah,
absolutely.
welcome, Tapir.
Absolutely.
I'll have to check the files. I think we've got-
they sent a whole bunch of shirts and a whole bunch of necklaces, which we gave out to the lucky people here today.
Yes.
We should applaud
Yeah.
themselves.
Yes.
So they were here. So that was really good. Anyway.
Tapir delicious, by the way, if you've ever had it.
No,
No.
I've not. Tastes like
Don't
chicken.
say-
Yeah,
don't
very much
say
like
that.
chicken.
So we have that. I also wanted to say one other thing before I got into the body of the show.
Oh, I just Googled tapir.
Yeah, it's an odd-looking thing,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
is.
Yeah, they have big
Not
snouts.
the most
They-
lovable.
It's like a
They
pig
look
with
like
an aardvark's
anteaters.
nose.
Don't they look like anteaters?
Yeah.
It's described
And
as a
pig.
large herbivorous mammal similar in shape to a pig with a short prehensile nosed trunk.
I think they look like anteaters.
Yeah.
So I'm watching because I watch the Today Show all the time, and because of this terrible thing that happened in Sri Lanka. It's terrible. There's no
Yes.
other word for it. It's
Awful.
terrible. But what I'm going to do now is not about that. It's about the NBC global correspondent, Bill Neely. He can't button his shirt all the way up. He thinks he is the sexiest guy. He's always got that first button undone and the microphone clipped underneath the first button so you can see what a stud this guy
Okay,
is.
Mr. Manly Man, you
I'm
who are
just
wearing a honeydew melon-colored
I'm
sweater
wearing a
this
sweater,
morning.
but I'm not on
Okay.
television with it. I just think that somebody ought to say to him, maybe, what's the deal with you? I mean, because he's obviously a handsome man, a well-built guy, and all of that. But it's always what
I would offer current temperature in Colombo, Sri Lanka, 86 degrees with 73% humidity. So maybe
He
it's
might be schwitzing.
maybe it's a climate
If you
situation.
stuck this guy in Reykjavik, he'd be wearing this. That's
Perhaps.
his look. I'm
Perhaps.
just saying that's his look. He's very good. I noticed his look. All right. Speaking of looks, Jeannie knows this story.
Still haven't learned your lesson. about those
Last
things.
night I've learned. So just cut it out. Cut all of it out.
Oh,
we
no,
don't have to
it's
worry
fine.
about it.
It's
No,
fine.
it's not. But Nigel, cut it all out.
Oh
No, don't cut
come
it out.
on.
Cut it all out when we get
It's you
in
being
post-prediction.
you. It's you
Coward.
being
No.
you.
Can't believe they let you wear a uniform.
So here's so last night, I don't know, 8 o'clock, 8:15, something like that. I get a text from Finn. Now Finn is of Pineapple Landscape. He's the landscaper of Chatter. He's the landscaper of Michael Kornheiser's house. He's the landscaper of my house and a little house. And he
Hola,
texted me.
nosotros somos Pineapple Landscape y escuchamos el show de Tony Kornheiser.
Hola, amigos.
Pero este show apesta.
What is it? We got the best show.
Yeah.
I think that means the show
Loosely
stinks.
translated.
Okay.
It's
Yes.
just-
So anyway, so he sends me this note and he says, call me right now. I'm in a pizza place on Mass Ave and Wendy Rieger's at the next table.
Oh my God.
So I call right now.
New York style,
And I said,
no
just
doubt.
put Rieger on the phone. So when he gets on the phone, just hands her the phone. Wendy gets on the phone. And I say to Wendy, so are you there with your husband? She goes, I'm not married. And I said, I really did. I thought in my head, I know she had been married once, very, very young. I thought she was married one other time, but I could be wrong. And then she launches into the problem she's having dating and asks me if I could try and get dates for her. and I got off the phone. I said, I love you, because I don't think it's possible to look at Wendy Rieger and not love Wendy Rieger.
I know.
This
It's
great.
totally
100%
lovable
agree.
Wendy
She's
Rieger.
the best.
What's
Totally.
wrong with this world that she has to worry about getting dates?
It's just so it was. That was one of the things, and I said this to Jeannie last night when I called her. In my life, that was one of the wonderful things that somebody I knew would be sitting at a restaurant with someone else I knew and say to me, "Call me right now," and I'll hand her the phone.
DA
it's
moment.
so great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that really
It's
is
just
brilliant.
right. It's just like that's a privileged moment.
Maybe
That
a
doesn't
littles,
happen.
maybe like a contest for the littles where the winner gets a date
No,
with Wendy. I think that would be a
no,
great
God,
help
no.
for her.
Keeping her.
No,
I was
no,
of,
stop.
of all my favorite Wendy stories, and there are thousands
How
of
about
them.
kicking the windshield out
That
of a
might-
car?
And the way it came up, because it was just sort of casual. Oh yeah, I kicked the windshield out of a car one time while
And
it was
that
going.
might be the thing that maybe puts some men off. I'm just guessing.
Kick the windshield out of a car.
love her. She's
Love,
the best.
Love Wendy Rieger. For those who don't know, she has been one of the anchors on Channel 4 for a while, local Channel 4, which is the news that I watch all
NBC
the time.
affiliate
Yeah,
here in
NBC
DC.
affiliate in Washington. All right, well, we will start the show with some sports, and we'll start with the NBA. Portland got a buzzer. I was not awake. Portland got a buzzer beater from Damian Lillard last night to end their series with Oklahoma City. This was from 37 feet out, and this was not a desperation shot. He got the ball in his hands with 10 or 11 seconds
Pulled
to
up.
go, and he just stayed outside, where he was guarded by the self-described playoff P, who stinks.
What a game he had, though.
Yeah, he had a great game until the end.
In defeat.
Until the end. And now he's guarding Damian Lillard. Paul George is considerably bigger than Damian Lillard, considerably more reach than Damian Lillard. And Paul George has to be thinking at this point, is this guy nuts? He's 37 feet away from the basket. Drops it. He drops it. At the end of the game, Paul Pierce says, justifiably, that's a bad shot. It is. 100 times out of 100, you want an opposing player to take a 37-foot shot. But it went in and they won.
I don't know if
it's-
that's justifiable. I thought that was really low for
Paul
playoff
George?
Pete. Yeah, for playoff Pete.
What
that,
is-
that was a bad shot.
Well, that's-
He
he's
sank
justifying-
it. He
Let me
sank
say,
it.
let me say, it's a worse shot on an 11-point night than it is on a 47-point night, which is what Lillard had before he made that shot.
He went
So,
34 in the first half and 50 in a playoff game.
Yeah.
50.
10 of 18 from 3, including that
and
shot.
completely outplayed Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
Completely. Got in his head. Westbrook was 11 for 31.
Well, it's a
Got in his
playoffs,
head-
Tony.
Yeah, everything changes.
You know, the shooting percentages aren't going to be what they typically are.
So that,
the
you know,
artistry of it.
they advance. Portland advances. Charles Barkley, we had him on PTI yesterday. He was very good. He had picked them all. He's picked them to come out of the West since before the playoffs
Portland?
started. Yeah, yeah. I also, I didn't watch that game, obviously. One of the games I started on, and I got there literally in the third minute of the game. I landed on the Sixers against the Nets.
Oh, well, it was over.
It was 20-2. It was 20-2, 3 minutes in, and the announcer said, and that's the 14th straight shot that Brooklyn has missed. So there's no point in watching that game.
No.
They win that game easily. The only series that has gone past 5 games and now will go into a 6th game, the only one so far, is a series that nobody cares about in the East. Sorry, Wilbon. Denver against San Antonio, and Denver won last night. But here, Toronto beat Orlando last night. Here are the NBA playoffs. 4-0, 4-0, 4-1, 4-1, 3-1, 3-1, and 3-2. That's there's nothing there. There's nothing there to watch.
In 3 of the 4-1s, didn't the one came up front, right? Didn't the 3?
Toronto, I mean, yeah.
Well, Brooklyn
Orlando,
won the first
Brooklyn.
game.
Orlando won the first game.
Orlando won the first
Yeah,
game.
right.
The Clippers won the first game.
Okay, right.
They have not won since. So there's nothing competitive at all about the end. I know that Mike, God bless Mike. Mike is looking at the artistry of each game, but these are not competitive.
Well, no
series.
one tunes into the NBA playoffs for the first round. I mean, that's what happens.
Actually, no one tunes in.
Better teams beat up lesser teams.
Actually, their ratings are down 18%.
Is that right?
Yes.
No LeBron?
Actually,
LeBron factor?
well, I think Wilbon says, who cares about LeBron? Let's give some light to all these other great players. Well, America cares about LeBron. Ratings are down on the year for the NBA, 18 to 20%, and in the first round, 18%. Now, if something got to a Game 7, you'd watch, because there's nothing after that. You would watch that. But those ratings are down. And I believe exactly what you said, that LeBron and the Lakers being out of it. What do you think?
I have to say, I haven't watched 1 minute of round 1.
Do you think you would have if LeBron were involved?
No.
Really?
Okay.
So,
No.
I would
getting
watch the Golden State
the
Warriors,
one note to that,
but
though,
they're
is
late.
people are consuming basketball in different ways. So if the ratings are down on TV by X%, how are you getting it in your hands? So that Damian Lillard shot, people are consuming that through highlights and sharing it on
Right.
Instagram and through Twitter.
Right.
That's actually a great point, and I got a
Which
kid who will
which
stream
hurts
games.
us. By us, I mean me, hurts my salary-making capability at PTI because people have stopped
You've already-
watching
yeah.
Right.
cable television.
Like when your eyes still work, I don't understand how my kids can watch a basketball game or a hockey game on their phone. And they will do that. They will stream
And
games.
even though they're in the house and can watch it on television.
Yes.
Because they want to be
Well,
isolated.
something else is on the television. I mean, they're literally
yeah.
watching 2 things. I mean, you shake your head. It's crazy. But, I mean, I just can't see well enough to do that. For me, the LeBron thing, it feels different with no LeBron out there.
Does
It really
to me,
does
but
to me.
Mike will
But I have
defend
no interest in a Raptors Magic game or
No.
even Nets
No,
Sixers.
I mean, Mike
early,
loves,
so-
like Milwaukee. Milwaukee's exciting to see. What did
Yeah.
I say
Oh.
yesterday? It feels like a homework assignment when I have to watch Milwaukee. I don't really care. You know what I landed
But it
on
gets
last
interesting
night
now.
after
It'll
the
get
Nets
interesting
game, when it was so terrible and I realized it's pointless to watch this game? I landed on The Social Network. That's a
Oh,
great
yeah.
movie.
Jesse Eisenberg in that,
It's
right?
a great
it's
movie.
Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
Absolutely great movie.
Yeah.
And the way he plays Zuckerberg, you believe
Scary.
that's him.
Gets
Yeah.
better with time?
It's T-shirt.
Yeah.
His eyes never blink. He's completely dismissive of everybody
The
around.
twins.
him.
So we
Yeah,
didn't
the
really
Winkle
know
Boy.
Mark Zuckerberg when
Don't know
that
now.
movie was made.
Wow.
I know, but
Don't
you have
know
a
now.
much better idea of who he is and how he
Have you
presents.
seen that movie?
I have not. No,
This
I haven't
movie's
seen it.
brilliant.
It's
terrific.
good.
It's a brilliant movie.
Didn't like one dude play the Winklevoss twins? or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Arm and Hammer.
Yeah, yeah.
Arnie.
Armie
Armie
Hammer.
Hammer.
Armie Hammer.
6'5", 220, there are 2 of me.
Yeah, no, he's big. So, and the kid who plays his best friend, who ultimately sues him because he didn't think he got enough money, is Andrew Garfield.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Who's British.
That's right.
I had no
British.
idea.
Thank
You
you.
watch
He's
the entire
British.
movie, you have no idea.
And
Yes.
isn't Rooney Mara the girlfriend?
Yes.
Yes. Well, she's the. I don't know if she's the girlfriend. I think she's the lawyer. I think she's involved in some way
Okay.
as the lawyer.
I
No, I
thought
think
Rooney
she's
Mara
the
was
girlfriend.
Yeah, I thought that
Is
was
that
the
the
one that
girlfriend?
Jesse Eisenberg sort of like longed for.
Yeah,
throughout
but
all
that
of
was
it.
not returned by her.
No. Isn't that the end when he's checking her
Yes,
status at
it's
the
a
end?
really. It's
Yeah.
honestly, it's a great movie.
There's a
What-
great small
what-
visual
Spoiler alert.
at the
Thanks,
beginning
Nige.
where you see him with the hoodie and the shorts walking through a
In a
snow-covered
snowstorm
campus, and
at
that,
Harvard.
that shows everything you need to know about his personality.
So it's really okay. I recommend. Let me
All
get
right.
out of here. This is taking forever.
I didn't realize Ben
let's get outta
Mesrich
here.
did that story. Who also did the Jeff Ma story, the Bringing Down the House. Ben Mesrich.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So it's his. He didn't write the script though.
No, story by Mesrich, screenplay by Sorkin.
All right, we will come back. We will have Jason Lockenford to talk about the draft. Jason, of course, of CBS Sports. I am Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
So this is the Ethos ad. This is for life insurance. And one of the things they recommend that I say, this is the copy. Do you have loved ones in your life who depend on you? I mean, I'm okay with that. No one lives forever. So what is your plan for them then? Well, you know,
It's a grim reminder.
no one lives forever. Okay, I'm, you know, but I, that doesn't put me in the greatest mood. But Ethos makes doing the responsible thing easy. You can get covered in 10 minutes online. There are no pushy salespeople. You choose a policy that fits your needs and budget. Ethos treats you like a person, not a risk. They work to make sure you have the right policy for your lifestyle and budget. Visit ethoslife.com and get started by clicking Check My Price. Check my price. Check my abs. check my price. They
Check
will
yourself
guide you.
before you wreck
before you
yourself.
wreck yourself. They will guide you through the online application. It only takes about 10 minutes for most people. Insure your life today by going to ethoslife.com to apply online. Insuring your life and providing your family with financial security has never been easier. And I am one of those people who has life insurance policies, and I do recommend them. Again, that's Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, for you people who didn't grow up in Athens. ethoslife.com, and you are 10 minutes away from your estimated rate. Make sure your family's future is safe no matter what.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is Don Stewart who writes, thanks again for playing my song titled New Hope on your show. This was a while back. I still can't believe you're doing this for songwriters. Of course, now I'm telling all my friends and family to listen to your podcast. Good, because I'm doing it for me. I've attached a couple of more songs. The first is called Stallion. We will play later in the show, Cozy Island Town. But this is Stallion by Don Stewart, playing in Jason Lockenford of CBS Sports with the draft a day away. I'm going to, if you don't mind, I understand that is Copper there and doing well. We'll start with Copper. He's doing well, yes?
Yeah. All good with Copper. Thank you, my friend.
Good. So let me get to what I think is the most interesting thing to me. I hope I don't ramble too much. Last year, the Arizona Cardinals took Josh Rosen with their first-round pick, the overall number 10 pick.
Yeah.
They had a GM in place at that time and a coach in place. The coach has since been let go, but the GM, I think his name is Steve Keim, is still in place. That guy took Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
They hired a new coach, Cliff Kingsbury, who everyone says is completely enamored with Kyler Murray. So question A is, will the Cardinals actually take Kyler Murray? And question B is, does this not undercut the GM who took Josh Rosen?
I believe they're taking Kyler Murray, and I believe that decision has been made and understood collectively, organizationally, since Kingsbury was hired, and especially since the Combine, when it was clear that Kyler Murray was one of the top quarterbacks in this draft, and was tall, at least met some standard of length in terms of how tall he was. And that this has basically been a lock since then. Does it undermine Steve Keim? I mean, look, there's a lot of people who are surprised that Steve Keim survived this.
Yes.
You had multiple reasons why he could have been let go last year.
Including a
above and
DUI,
beyond
right?
what he did off field. I mean,
Yeah.
the hiring of Steve Wilkes in the first place, and then basically picking Wilkes' staff for him, and then systematically firing those along the way. you had their best player, Patrick Peterson, demanding a trade. You had several other key players on the defense demanding a trade. You had an untenable situation there, and Josh Rosen was thrust into the middle of it. But at this point, they're obviously all in on Cliff Kingsbury and the idea that they're going to revolutionize the NFL and bring the air raid to Sundays. And if you're doing that and you have a chance to get a quarterback, and let's face it, Cliff Kingsbury's hired and in the NFL despite being a loser in college because of his, this idea that he's a quarterback guru, then you might as well go and get the best possible fit to make this thing work. Josh Rosen was done no favors through this whole process. It certainly seems as if they traded a 10th overall just a year ago with very little conviction in their actions. But I do expect them to take Kyler Murray.
So I thought when Kingsbury was hired that he was hired to fix Josh Rosen, and now he's going to fix him by just ignoring him and ultimately getting rid of him?
Like Gruden fixed RG3.
Yeah, is that
yeah,
what?
no, I think he was hired to run the air raid, and I think he made it very clear how strongly he believes Kyler Murray is the guy to do that.
Okay.
I think it's going to be up to whoever gives them a second-round pick for Josh Rosen, to be the person to quote unquote fix Josh Rosen. The problem here is that they broke him.
Yeah.
That's the organization that broke him, and they've devalued him to a point where they're probably trading him for pennies on the dollars, even with his contract being such a steal for whoever lands him.
So you don't think they will both stay there for the full year this year?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't see that. I think Josh Rosen is traded by Friday afternoon or during the second day of the draft.
Okay. The other quarterback in question, Dwayne Haskins, who's local for us because he went to Bullis High School. Will the Giants take it? Like, where does he go? Where does he go?
I think he ends up with Washington. It's just a matter of where. I hear that Oakland's very high on him. I don't know if they're high enough on him to take him at 4, but there's all these whispers. And I guess even the Raiders themselves said, there could be some surprises, so we're keeping things close to the vest. Some people have interpreted that to mean Haskins. I think the Giants have been set on taking Daniel Jones from Duke at 17 all along. Could they end up taking him at 6? I wouldn't be stunned if the board fell a certain way in which a lot of the defensive players that the supremely covet are gone. Obviously, we don't know how that's gonna transpire. But I think, if there is a quote-unquote slide for Haskins, I think it slides him right to Washington at 15.
Okay. I have I was thinking about this yesterday, about how exciting the NBA draft lottery is with the ping pong balls. I know it only takes a half hour, but it's really exciting. And now they've expanded it so you can't just tank and get the first pick automatically. There's 4 teams now with the same amount of odds. Why doesn't the NFL do that? Why don't they have that same excitement?
Don't do that to me.
What?
I have to cover so many fake events already. This launching of the schedule,
Right.
OTAs, this thing that they create, OTAs,
Right.
who showed up, who didn't, who looks good in OTAs, even though he'll be in the AAFL or whatever the hell the next developmental league is whenever that gets started. Competition committee, all the hand-wringing over what will they suggest, what won't they suggest. Owners' meetings where nothing really happens. I don't want to have to cover.
I mean, wasn't the lottery
exciting.
Hot now? I don't give them any ideas, I guess, is basically what I'm saying. I mean, they do a coin flip at the league meetings. Or at the combine at times to settle draft order and certain things where the tiebreakers have just exhausted themselves. I mean, could they go to a point where there's like 3 teams that finish 3-13, and it's like watching the Maryland lottery? You know what I mean? And we'll see if maybe some guy from 98 Rock can pull the balls out of the pot or whatever, made for TV. I could see them being into it, I suppose. I hope it's while I'm on vacation.
All right.
Wasn't that, Tony, a direct response to the notion that people were tanking in the
Absolutely.
NBA? Though?
Absolutely.
Okay, and no one, Jason, no one in the NFL has that sense now.
Well, yes, they do. Everybody thinks the Miami Dolphins are tanking.
Yeah, we're tiptoeing in that direction. I think the Cleveland Browns certainly. At one point, the Cleveland Browns, in essence, paid $16 million for a second-round pick. We've seen teams kind of go to some more extreme by NFL standards to tear things down in a fairly overt way. And if the Dolphins do what a lot of people think they're going to do, which would include not taking a quarterback in this year's draft, and what they've already done with their roster, that could be construed very much as playing for 2020 and beyond.
I think the people tank. All right, you mentioned the AAF. Why did that fold, and what does that mean for the XFL, in your opinion?
It means the XFL, Vince McMahon's pockets better be straight.
Yeah.
You need to have an inordinate amount of committed wealth behind a venture like this, and it was clear the AAF was a whole lot more talk and bluster than actual money in the pot and in the kitty. And we may have talked about this a while back. I know I talked about it with some people, but they had meetings with CBS before the league launched, and I talked to some people who were in those meetings, and they're like, the amount of, and they kind of walked them through what insurance was going to cost and, what they were paying players and what their committed costs were, for these stadiums and officiating and all this stuff. And somebody in the room kind of did the math, and there was multiples and multiples and multiples, and they were like, wow, they better have really raised, the amount of money they're talking about, if not substantially more, if this is actually going to be sustainable once those checks start coming out. And sure enough, they were broke by week 2. Yeah. So they didn't have the means to support. I don't know if they thought they would attract more attention and generate more steam and more investors on the fly, but clearly it was incredibly flawed. It was a disaster. I don't know how else. The on-field product was okay enough for what it was, but there are people still stuck in certain cities with leases they can't get out of, you know what I mean, who literally had to call and get money wired to them so they could fly home. I mean, that's not a good look.
No, and I don't think, I know McMahon has money, but I don't think the XFL can make it. I don't think there's an appetite for a league other than the league that's there.
It needs to be really niche. It really needs to be exposing, or attacking and ultimately benefiting financially from some market force that isn't being served. I think ultimately a true developmental league that gets freshmen and sophomore players off of college campuses at key skill positions and gets them playing in a professional environment in front of NFL scouts on some basis, I think maybe there would be an allure for that. Like if this quarterback from Clemson, who the only reason he can't go to the NFL this year is because basically the NCAA and the NFL have colluded together to say, yeah, we'll make them,
that's right.
Got to be 3 years after college, after high school graduation, which is inherently arbitrary. To go play in one of these leagues and light it up, and then be the first pick in the draft the following year. Then I think all of a sudden you've got some attention.
It's interesting that you say that about football, where most people look at it and say, okay, physically, people may not be ready to go into the NFL. Occasionally somebody is. Wilbon argued yesterday. I said that Adam Silver is completely guilty of restraint of trade in not letting these people go to the NBA whenever they want. It's an NBA rule. It's not an NCAA rule. And Wilbon argued for the union. He argued for the veteran players who belong to a union who would lose their jobs. And I just sort of looked at him like I just didn't think of Wilbon as a union guy. The right word that you used is arbitrary. It's totally arbitrary. When people, all right, I'll get off this. What do you think of Russell Wilson getting all his linemen $12,000 worth of Amazon stock?
I guess that's the new Rolex watch, right?
Yeah,
it used to be that used to be how they rolled. I'm sure he's got a pretty good investment guy. He lives out there, so I guess he's got his finger on the pulse of all things Google and Bing or whatever else. So good, sharing the wealth. Good for him, man. He's a guy who's had to run for his life more often than any top caliber quarterback really should. I think they may even go out and get him a receiver in the first round, especially now that they have 2 first-round picks out in Seattle, which would be a luxury he hasn't really enjoyed much at all. And I look, that to me, that's a no-brainer. You have a quarterback that good who literally misses no snaps and has just turned 30 in November, and you look at what the cost of doing business is, and you say, yeah, That's a dude who I will give $88 million to in the next 2 years, and $107 over 3. And then after that, we're into a new CBA. We got broadcast and gambling money coming in. You know, none of these you project beyond 3 years with any NFL deal, you're wasting your time because the landscape changes so much, and you know the guarantees are then gone. And if for some reason he's washed up, then he's gone. And if he's still Russell bleeping Wilson, and all these jamokes have passed him in the pecking order in terms of money, then guess what? Year 4, year 5, at some point there, we're renegotiating again anyway. That's how it works. So, yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I'll get you out of here on this. Chris Davis seems to have hit another home run last night, his second.
He did indeed.
I was one of those people who said loudly, you got to get him out of there because the fans have turned on him and his life is going to be hell and this is never going to work. Am I wrong? What is your perception of him now?
I mean, I still think he's probably fairly broken over a large sample size, but he's even when he was an all-star caliber hitter, he was pretty streaky. And I'll go back to our conversation. I said, look, they're going to give him this next road trip at the very least to see. Okay, now the limelight's off and you finally got your hit. Can you cobble together half decent at bats? And he has. And I think over the last 10 or 12 games, he's hitting at an above replacement, an above replacement value clip.
Yeah.
And just look at their lineup on any given day. There are not a lot of household names, and there's not a lot of guys, at their disposal on the bench or in the starting lineup who have done anything in regards to power at the NFL, at the MLB level. So, and for all the money they're paying him, I think he's going to be around for a little while.
Thank you so much. Our best to Copper. We're so
Thank
happy
you very
to hear
much.
that he's
Appreciate
good.
it, guys. Enjoy the draft.
Thank you. Jason Lockenfora, boys and girls. Was that a bark at the end?
Yeah,
Yes,
a little
I
bit.
Very nice. So we will come back and we will have news. I am Tony Kornheiser.
You're listening to the Tony Kornheiser Show.
This is the Quip ad. I got a box from Quip yesterday. Not a box. It's sort
Box of that?
It's not a box. It's
A refill, if you will.
yeah. Well, I haven't opened it yet. I don't know that there's a battery in there. It's sitting on my dining room table. It's a silver sort of package.
Is
but
it
it's not-
ticking?
No, it's not a box, and I'm of course afraid of it. Because I don't know what might
understandable.
be in there, how many brushes might be in there, or whether or not a fully charged battery would be in there, or something like that. But
So I have to come over.
Yeah, you're going to have to
Open the box.
You're going to have to look at it and see what it is, because Quip was designed to make brushing your teeth more simple, affordable, and even enjoyable. But I can't do it unless I open the box. It's not an actual box. It's what would you call that? It's not a box. It's made out of sort of a plasticky substance. It's not hard-sided.
Like a plastic envelope?
It's sort of like an envelope, but it's bigger than an envelope. You know what I mean? It's not a normal.
Small shipment.
Something like that. Quip has sensitive sonic vibrations, which are gentle enough on your sensitive gums because people brush too hard and some electric toothbrushes are too abrasive. Quip has a built-in 2-minute timer, which pulses every 30 seconds to remind you when to switch sides because 90% of us don't brush for a full 2 minutes or don't clean evenly. Brush heads are automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5 because 3 out of 4 of us use bristles that are old, worn out, and ineffective. Now it tells me to say why I love Quip. We had the guys from Cadence in here yesterday, the sales team, and I said this is a stumbling block for me. I don't really love Quip. I like it fine. I use it. It's nice. Love is a very strong emotion.
You're in the friend
I
zone.
love Wendy Rieger.
Yes.
And I love Wendy Rieger.
You're in the friend zone with Quip.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/TonyK right now, you will get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That is your first refill pack free at getquip.com/TonyK. Getquip.com/TonyK.
You're listening to The Tony Kornheiser Show.
Once again, we're playing Don Stewart. This song is called Cozy Island Town. If you listen to this podcast, you know that at the end of it, you can hear these songs in their entirety without me talking over them. And the musicianship is great.
It really is brilliant.
It's the best thing that happened to us doing the podcast was how they told us it was actually cost prohibitive to get real songs. We just can't do it. It costs too much money. So we opened it up to local musicians, local wherever they are. And it's the best thing we had. If people like Dawn Stewart, Michael, want to send us their songs, how do they do so?
Send us your music by emailing it to jingles@TonyKornheiserShow.com.
Second best thing to come out of the podcast is you got a restaurant. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
I feel that way too. Are we selling anything? The Wine Tyrant's birthday was yesterday. Are we selling anything?
Yes, go open up a bottle to celebrate my wife's birthday by visiting shop.TonyKornheiserShow.com, where you can get the TK wine opener and the TK etched wine glass set.
Those are really nice. And by the way, once again, we will have a watch party here for the Capitals tonight. And by watch party, I mean just come in and watch the game.
How many TVs have you got in this
I think
establishment?
we have 13 TVs. And they'll all, not all, because one will be on the Nats.
That's right.
But all the others will be on the Caps.
Right.
You have some news for us.
I do indeed. And by the way, if you would like to purchase a T-shirt, you can only do that
Chatter.
right here at Chatter.
Only here.
And it's just $12 American,
That's
right?
all it is.
Yeah.
Can
Maybe some
I
tax.
publicly thank you for Liz's shout out yesterday on PTI? It was one of the longer birthday shout outs I've ever heard. But,
Well, Wilbon...
but there's a question. You say shout out, like birthday shout out, Liz Hardwick.
Yeah.
Liz Hardwick no longer exists.
I know, but my daughter's name is Liz Kornheiser, and I wanted to make sure I didn't want anybody saying, "Well, is that his daughter? Who is that exactly?" So I continue in my mind to refer to her as Liz Hardwick to distinguish from Elizabeth Kornheiser.
Far more importantly, did she call Tony on her
She
birthday?
did not.
No.
I made the
called
phone
her.
call on her behalf.
I called her.
No, you did not.
Actually, I did during the day and left a message.
Oh.
No, I did. No, you should check with your wife about that because I did call her on her birthday.
I stand corrected.
Well, you need proof, but you should ask her.
I'll go to the phone logs.
Please do.
Check the LUDs, as they say
Please
on
do.
Law and Order.
I don't, if I demand a certain thing from someone else, far be it from me not to demand that of myself.